Hey, True Believers, Englentine here with, well, a whole bunch of Easter eggs. This movie was fun. This movie was fun to watch twice. It's kind of like Ready Player One, but for movie references and shit like that. Well, that was Ready Player One also, but that had video games as well. Anywho, there's a bunch of freaking Easter eggs in Deadpool, and I found some, and then I went researching and looked some up. Gotta admit on that. So here you go. Here's all of them except for the ones I've missed. Hopefully in chronological order. I'm gonna try that, but that might prove to be just too much, and I'm a little bit lazy today. Oh, and I honestly shouldn't have to say this. Spoilers. Lots and lots of spoilers ahead. The movie opens up on a music box of Wolverine from Logan, the movie Logan, and his death scene. The song it's playing is All Out of Love by Air Supply. Then we meet our protagonist, Deadpool. Yes, not really an Easter egg in a movie called Deadpool, but I'm going to include it here just for the well actually, guys. I'm not going to well actually this a lot, but there you go. Deadpool, New Mutants 98, first appearance. He is very famously a ripoff of Deathstroke the Terminator from DC Comics. Next, we see Deadpool try to kill himself, which is actually a running theme in some of the Deadpool comics. He's tried this before and it didn't work. Then we get another reference to Wolverine. Logan, as he mentions that the hairy motherfucker rode his coattails on the R-rated movie train. At the start of Deadpool's murder montage, he says, "Hit it, Dolly!" And then the music plays 9 to 5, which is a very famous song from the 80s. Basically like a working man's anthem. So, yeah, Dolly Parton recorded it. 9 to 5 was the song. So during the murder montage, there are a couple of family films mentioned as having begun with murders, such as Bambi, The Lion King, of course, with the murder of Mufasa. Not pictured here. For some reason, I picked out this one. And, of course, Saw 7. Deadpool's victims in this scene are described as those guys who killed John Wick's dog. As he's running away, he jumps into a cab where Doppender describes how he wants to be like Kirsten Dunst in Interview with a Vampire. I almost missed this one. Almost let it go by. But before Doppender starts talking, Deadpool says, "Talk to me, Goose," which is from Top Gun, of course. Deadpool taking on the Maverick and asking Doppender his wingman, Goose. Deadpool then pops out of a coffin like he did in Deadpool Team Up 898. He then says, "Mission accomplished," in a George W. kind of way, of course, referencing George W. Bush, who said this on, what was it, the USS Abraham Lincoln. And, you know, conversely, was also played by Josh Brolin in W. And then he mentions that he's mentioned in the same sentence of Jesus and says, "The Passion of the Christ, us. They beat us domestically, but we beat them overseas where there is no religion." Of course, referring to The Passion of Christ being the #1 R-rated film domestically and Deadpool being the #1 R-rated movie worldwide. When Deadpool arrives home, he says he's late because he met another caped hero who also had a mother named Martha. Of course, referencing Batman v Superman.
Save Martha!
Of course, in his apartment is his girlfriend Vanessa, who first appeared in New Mutants number 98 as Domino, then as herself in X-Force number 19. And then they watch Yentl together, which if I get it right, I remember it being a movie about a woman who dresses like a man so she could become some sort of scholar, maybe a biblical scholar. When they hit pause on Yentl, they're talking about, this is Deadpool and Vanessa, of course, they're talking about having a kid, and Deadpool brings up his shitty father. And I do remember there being 3 kind of versions of the father. One wasn't as bad, one was a real shit heel. I think he killed one. Yeah, once again, I'm not doing a lot of research on this, but I do believe that happened. I'm sure someone in the comment section will correct me if I'm wrong about that. Deadpool says he wants to give their baby one name, like Cher. Then we go right on into the James Bond-esque opening credit scene. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all of the Easter eggs so far have all been before Deadpool 2's opening credit sequence. We get a reference to the water scene from Flashdance as Deadpool is bathed in a shower of bullets. Then we cut to Deadpool crying in the bar, and he's saying, why hasn't anybody noticed that Frozen's Do You Want to Build a Snowman is just Papa Can You Hear Me from Yentl? I did a video about it. This is the thumbnail. Was Deadpool right? Did Disney steal from Barbra Streisand? Check it out. Yes, I am such a whore. I pimp my own videos in my own videos. George Michael was right, he says. I'll Never Gonna Dance Again. That's from George Michael's song Careless Whisper, which actually I believe was one of the last tracks, if not the last track, on Wham's Make It Big album. Could be wrong, but I do remember that being the case. He then says, well, George Michael is dead too. Of course, he was talking about Vanessa, and that's where the dead also or dead too comes from. But then refers to, well, at least we still have Bowie. Referring to, you know what, if you don't know this one, I'm not going to help you. Also in the conversation with Weasel, they talk about Star Wars and the kiss, and Deadpool mentions, well, you know, he had to nail her, right? So, yeah, that's referring to this. I don't know if this counts as an Easter egg or a callback, but in the first film, joking around with Al being cruel, he tells her that he's got a secret stash of cocaine and the cure for blindness. He returns to the apartment so he could get his cocaine, and we find out that he actually has a cure for blindness. Deadpool compares Al's words of wisdom to Matthew McConaughey's inspirational speeches. And then we meet Negasonic, teenage what-a new girlfriend, Yukio, who the directors thought, well, this Yukio is such a small character they could do whatever they want with her and change her. Aha! We got you! You cannot fool us geeks. You can't get shit past us. I was looking for her. I was thinking this is Surge, but no, it's this Yukio. We find out, Deadpool directors. We know. The internet always finds out. She's my girlfriend, you intolerant prick, says Negasonic, and Deadpool says, yo, pump the hate brakes, Fox and Friends, and that's referring to the Fox Channel's TV show Fox and Friends, which isn't really hateful, but these three, man, they're lucky there's teleprompters. These guys act as if they're three chimps stumbling around the closet in the dark. Deadpool refers to Yukio as Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony, and I believe Pinkie Pie is famous for breaking the fourth wall as well. I read this and was told this. I have no idea if it's true, but the t-shirt Deadpool wears in the X-Mansion is a reference to Taylor Swift's Cats. The shirt looks to be the same design, though, that Ryan Reynolds wore in the movie Just Friends. By the way, it's criminally underwatched. That is a fun Christmas movie. What about that guy with the pigeon wings? Deadpool asks while complaining that there aren't enough X-Men in his movie. Of course, he's referring to the Angel, but this guy's I'm gonna call bullshit on. This is Deadpool 2. The first one made a shit ton of money. You're not going to convince me that they didn't throw all of the monies at this. So sorry when he's complaining about, hey, where are all the X-Men at? What about the guy with the pigeon wings? Once again, referring to Angel. And then, of course, we see the cast of the Dark Phoenix movie in a room shutting the door before he notices them. But once again, this is a forced joke because, I'm sorry, guys. If they wanted all the X-Men, they would have paid for all the X-Men. For Deadpool 2, yeah, like I said, it's got the budget. Meet Cable. First appearance, New Mutants number 87. Next, we see Deadpool wearing Cerebro and saying, it's on my head, and it smells like Patrick Stewart. Of course, referring to the time Patrick Stewart played Professor X. Cut to a news report by Irene Merriweather, a news reporter that followed Cable around for a while. She made her first appearance in Cable number 48, meeting all of his friends and such, and I do believe that it was Deadpool who killed Irene Merriweather. Meet Rusty Collins, who in the movie looks a little bit different than he did in the comic book. Rusty's name is Fire Fist, and he made his first appearance in X-Force number 1. X-Factor number 1. Damn it. Yeah, I'll keep it in. The orphanage that Russell is at is called Essex, which may be a reference to Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister, who was referenced at the end of Days of Future Past. That kind of foreshadowed that he would appear in one of these movies, so this could just be more foreshadowing. Yep, once Deadpool was a trainee for the X-Men and even wore an X-Men costume over his regular costume. Before facing Rusty Collins, Deadpool says to Colossus, "Please don't cheat on me," which is in reference to Beyonce's song Lemonade. X-Men is an outdated metaphor for racism in the 1960s, with, of course, Professor X being Martin Luther King, Magneto being Malcolm X. This has been said many, many times, and it's referenced in Deadpool too. Deadpool then laments that rather than bringing his hollow points, he should have just brought a Super Soaker. When Deadpool tries to confront Rusty Collins warns him to stay back or he will burn Justin Bieber here, referring to Negasonic. After Fire Fist throws a ball of fire at Negasonic, Colossus tries to intimidate him by saying, "Come with me or there will be trouble," which of course Fire Fist and Deadpool calls him out on the fact that he stole this line from RoboCop. Deadpool is thrown through a window where a child is having Wheaties for breakfast. He picks up the box and autographs it while telling him, "Stay in school or not. I didn't stay in school and I became an X-Man." And when he drops it, you see that Deadpool signed the name Ryan Reynolds. However, if you also look closer at the box, you'll see that it was Wolverine's face on the Wheaties box. A callback to the first film, Deadpool jumps out of the window after autographing the Wheaties box and says, "Gonna do a superhero landing." Of course, when he does it, he breaks his leg and says, "Oh, that's so impractical." After subduing Rusty, he asks, "Who hurt you?" Baldylocks, Jared Kushner. This was a reference to Donald Trump's son-in-law. Then discovering that Rusty has been getting hurt by the people who run the orphanage, he does Colossus's 4 or 5 moments to be a hero speech from the original Deadpool. After killing a couple of the orphanage's staff, Deadpool is captured by Colossus, given an inhibitor collar, and he and Rusty are carried to the icebox, where, of course, mutants are held as prisoners. The icebox made its first appearance in Maverick Volume 2, number 8. As Rusty and Deadpool walk into the icebox, Deadpool says, "Which gang will I be in? I wonder if they have a sorting hat." Of course, a reference to the sorting hat from Harry Potter. In the icebox, there are a lot of mutants, and it's really hard to tell who's who without confirmation. I am pretty sure the tall blonde is Sabretooth, but once again, no confirmation. That being said, there's also an establishing shot where you see a whole bunch of them in the room, and off to the left, kind of in the center, is one with green hair and kind of paste. It looks like the Joker, but once again, it's all rumor and has not yet been confirmed. One mutant they pass by has mutant written across his forehead, which could kind of be like a call to the future where we have mutants branded. You see Bishop with a big M on his face. Cut to a couple of hillbillies sitting on a truck bed talking about how you should use baby wipes and then dry off with regular toilet paper and it's better for you after you do your business. The hillbilly talking is Matt Damon, and in the credits, he goes by the name of Dickie Greenleaf. Now, that's cool in itself, but the person he's talking to is sci-fi favorite Alan Tudyk, who played Walsh in Firefly. While sitting in their cell, Deadpool and Rusty have a talk, and he says what he wants to do is go back to the orphanage and burn it down. And we get a flashback to how he was treated, and there are posters that say M-Day is coming. Well, that is in reference to the day that the Scarlet Witch said no more mutants, and half the mutant population disappeared, and all that took place in House of M. Deadpool tells him that so long as he wears the inhibitor collar, he can't help him because his superpower is just unbridled cancer. Give him a bow and arrow, and he could be Hawkeye. Of course, he's referring to Hawkeye from the Avengers, and not Hawkeye from MASH. We see Cable sitting in his room in the Rooks Hotel. I was not able to find if that is a reference to anything. However, when he puts his gun together, it shows a dial, and the dial does go up to 11, much like the Spinal Tap guitar, or amp dial, excuse me. And then the next day, while they're having, I guess, lunch or dinner, they meet up with Black Tom Cassidy, first appearance, X-Men 99, and he is a frequent friend of Juggernaut and opponent of Wade Wilson. "We're not friends and we're not partners," Deadpool tells Rusty, and he says, "Don't attack the biggest guy in here. Make friends with him. Even if it's Black Tim." And then he says, or Black Adam. I don't know if it's a reference to Black Adam from DC Comics, but I'm going to include it anyway. Once again, I have found no confirmation on who is who as prisoners inside the icebox. One of them, however, when Cable attacks the icebox, there's a character, he steps out, he's blue with bird hair on top. It looks like Beak from the X-Men and the Exiles. Cable fires a grenade into Wade Wilson and Rusty's cell, empty, of course, which prompts Deadpool to ask, when did I piss off a grumpy old fucker with a Winter Soldier arm? Obviously, there you go. Winter Soldier, ladies and gentlemen. While Cable and Wade Wilson are fighting, and of course Wade Wilson is fighting to protect Rusty, Cable looks to his gun and it flies over to his back. Now, Cable has limited telekinesis abilities, yet the directors said that they were trying to go for a more technological flair rather than telekinesis. That way they didn't have to explain things. However, they would explore it more in the future, that if he has mutant powers or not. It looked like telekinesis to me this time around, but that's what the director said. Deadpool gets his powers back and attacks Cable, showing a little bit more strength. Cable looks at him and says, "Who are you?" To which, of course, all of us would have responded, "I'm Batman." And so does Deadpool. Problem is, this is wrong. It's not who are you, it's what are you, both in the 1989 version and Batman Begins. Cable tells Wade that he's from the future. That sparks 3 questions. 1, is dubstep still a thing? Of course, referring to the music. 2, what Sharknado are we on? And if you don't know this reference, I'm not going to help you. And 3, at what point do I get to say enough with the robotic arms? Which actually, I think through the 90s, I was saying the same thing. After stabbing Deadpool and declaring that dubstep is for pussies, and it's nice to know me and Cable would get along on at least one issue, Deadpool says, "Oh, you're so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?" Of course, talking about how dark the DCEU movies have been. In every movie, there's a point where the hero hits rock bottom. In Cool Runnings, it was when John Candy's prize bobsled broke, referring to, obviously, Cool Runnings, the movie, which I do recommend. It's a lot of fun, gang. You should check it out. If you haven't seen it already, and I know some of you out there are too young to have been born or aware of it, check it out. Tons of fun, guys. Tons of fun. Tons. Fun. This. And then he includes the people who signed on to do the Human Centipede movie just because they signed on to do the Human Centipede movie. And understanding how long even the simplest of scene may take to film, I can see why. Later, when Cable is alone in his room, he's looking in the mirror and he remembers his family and he remembers what happened to them. And we hear the song Tomorrow from the movie. Actually, I don't think it's the movie. I think it might be the state. It does not sound like the Eileen Quinn version of Tomorrow. But I figure I'll put the poster up anyway, because let's face it, most likely people watching this video won't know the difference. On the other hand, I think I just confessed to knowing Annie enough that I could tell the difference between who's singing Tomorrow. Damn. When Rusty goes down to whatever depths and basement the icebox has to make friends with who we find out is the Juggernaut, towards the end he says, "We're a team. We're like Tupac and Ice Cube, who, if I remember correctly, were never really a team? Weren't they East Coast, West Coast rappers and there was some sort of feud going on? I don't remember. I wasn't into the culture at the time, or now. But anyway, moving on. The X-Force auditions begin, and we see that Deadpool is actually considering Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG. There are a lot of things on the walls, so I'm sure I'm going to miss something during the X-Force audition, but I do believe there's a picture of a cowboy girl, a woman cowboy, cowgirl, whatever you want to call it, and I think that's Outlaw from the Gail Simone run. She married Wade Wilson for a while, but her super strength and her, let's say, love of physical affection was too much for his healing factor. On the wall, behind Weasel and Deadpool, is a bang gun. You know, one of those little this one you see right here. Now I was able to find this panel that he actually used one, but I could not find what issue this was in. Comment section to the rescue. Yeah, if you know it, by all means, please leave it in the comments section below. Next up, we meet Bedlam, played by Terry Crews, who has the mutant ability to interrupt electrical signals, including the ones in people's brains. Now, he made his first appearance as part of Age of Apocalypse in Factor X #1, and he made his 616 first appearance in X-Force #82. Bedlam describes his power, tells him he could get in somebody's brain, causing irritation, aggravation, and even pain, and Deadpool refers to him as saying, "Oh, so you're Dave Matthews." Of course, referencing the singer who can cause irritation, aggravation, and even sometimes pain. Next auditioner is Zeitgeist. He has the power to, well, emit acidic spit and vomit. His first appearance was X-Force 16, and a little bit of foreshadowing. Things did not go well for Zeitgeist in the comic book either, because he ended up dying in the Boys R Us massacre. When Zeitgeist asks him, do you want a demonstration of his power, Deadpool replies, no, we've all eaten at Arby's, of course referring to the fact that, well, Arby's sucks. That's something I can get behind also. But at least it's expensive, okay? I mean, if I've got to give credit where credit is due, Arby's food may be bad, but it is really expensive. So, you know, trade-off. Next audition, we meet the well, okay, we kind of meet the Vanisher. Sort of. Maybe a little bit. Okay, they don't really see him because in the movie they play him off as having the power of invisibility, while the Vanisher, who's been around since the X-Men #2, in Marvel Comics, has always been a teleporter. I can understand the name. They want to play it off as a joke, and they do, and it works to great effect, as of course we see later in the film. Shatterstar, a refugee from Mojo World, which I guess I'll get into after I describe Shatterstar here. Now, in the movie, he says he's from Mojo World, which is awesome because that means Mojo is a possibility. That being said, he's also described as having the mutant power of being better than you. And in the books, he has the power to convert sonic frequencies into shockwaves of vibrating energies. So it's a little bit different. And he made his first appearance in New Mutants #99. Mojo World comes from the Mojo Verse, which first appeared in Longshot #1, 1985. It is a place where all these races are coming together. All they do is watch TV. So the leader Mojo has to keep them entertained, and he does that by basically, it's kind of like the Hunger Games. You just put people on Mojo World, and they fight each other out. Shatterstar says he comes from that particular place. Longshot comes from the same place, and they have the same haircut. That cannot be a coincidence. Anyway, this fat tubbalard right here is Mojo. He's the producer. He hails from Mojo World, a planet in another dimension. That's what the write-up says on him. And he's kind of the producer of all the shows that go on Mojo. And yes, he looks like that. Why? Because comics is weird. After Shatterstar says his superpower is to be better than Deadpool at everything, Deadpool says, wow, I wish I could go to a place where everybody's just incompetent boobs, and, you know, because there I'd be Superman. Of course, he's referring to, well, Superman from the DC Universe. To which, of course, Weasel replies, isn't that Canada? And Deadpool says, you shut that fucking mouth. Now, of course, Canada is a mythical land that some claim to have seen, but very few people believe in. Okay, that's the end of part 1, kids, because literally we just made it to the middle of the movie. We made it to the 55-minute mark and had a 25-minute video pointing out all the references and Easter eggs in this freaking film. I don't think this movie had a script. I need to watch this again seriously because it has occurred to me that there is no script. It's just references and Easter eggs. References and Easter eggs. Anyway, in order to not have this video go on for an hour and 50 minutes, I have to cut this in two. So look out for part 2. I hope you enjoy. I hope people watch this because holy crap, for one guy, this is an undertaking. Anyway, let me know if I missed anything in that first 55 minutes. Put it down in the comments below. What do you think? Click like, share to get word out about the channel, and share this video because gosh darn it, I worked a lot on this one and want people to see it. And of course, if you haven't done it already, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss anything cool things happen on this channel, I promise. Anyway, this is the way I'm trying to make a living, so if you don't mind helping the channel out, by all means, please go on over to Patreon, drop $1 in the till, definitely can use it. It'll help us to make videos, and it'll help us to get better equipment, a better computer, by the way, and better software, which I'm trying to do so we can make better videos for you. So please go on over to Patreon, links in the description below. Thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.